Some new information just in on the $279 per month raise for millions of beneficiaries receiving SSI, Supplemental Security Income. Let's get into it and discuss all of the latest details. Hey everyone, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as I'm back each and every day with all of the latest updates, just like this one, hot off the wire, and talking about other very important topics and helping you out in any way that I possibly can, making sure that you're getting all of the money and benefits that you're eligible to receive during this time while things are changing very, very rapidly. So thanks again for your support. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe down below, and I promise you I'll continue to be here for you every single day. All right, let's get into it and talk about the latest updates on this $279 per month raise for these millions upon millions of SSI beneficiaries. Now, this is something that we've talked about a number of times lately, simply because it is continuing to pop up in the headlines on a regular basis, and we are getting more and more updates on this each and every week, which is a really, really good thing. As I've mentioned before, the simple fact that they continue talking about this and we see more updates on this on a regular basis, this is a good thing. Simply because if they weren't talking about it, well, then the likelihood of it happening may be a little bit less. But the simple fact that they keep talking about this is a great thing, and they may just add it into this next stimulus package, as they've been talking about for a couple months now. This is actually really good. Now remember, this is in reference to the SSI Restoration Act. This is something that was brought up a few months ago by Sherrod Brown, who happens to be heading up this whole project and kind of the leader behind this whole thing. This is a really great thing. Now remember, this is the project in which they want to expand SSI benefits, raise them to 100% of the federal poverty line, which just so happens to be $1,073 every single month, which would actually be a raise of $279 each and every month, which would actually be above the level of where it currently sits of $794, which is the maximum SSI benefit as of right now in 2021. That'd be an amazing raise. Could you imagine if you're receiving SSI right now getting $794 a month? What would it do for you if you got an extra $279 each and every month, bringing you up to $1,073 a month? That'd be huge, right? I mean, that is a huge percentage raise, right? I mean, that's pretty good stuff right there. That'd be so cool. Not only that, they also want to expand other portions of the SSI program. They want to expand the resource limits up to $10,000 as an individual or $20,000 as a married couple. But again, what I want to do is actually bring my wife in, Corey, and she's going to read an article to you. Now, this article is actually going to lay out everything here, and we can come back in just a minute and paraphrase and kind of run through a bunch of the key takeaways out of this article. But before I get ahead of myself, I want to bring Corey in and read this article to you, and then we can go through all of the key takeaways. But yet again, this is some more really good information on the SSI Restoration Act and how they want to expand SSI in this next stimulus package. So literally, we could be a matter of weeks out from this whole thing being passed, provided they actually pass the stimulus package in the next couple weeks like they want to do. But again, we'll continue watching that. Anyway, Corey, take it away, and I'll see all of you again in just a minute, and we can run through the key takeaways out of this good article. All right, Corey, take it away.
This is an article from the HuffPost by Jonathan Cohn. Democratic proposal could reduce poverty by 3.3 million people, studies says. Legislation to shore up Supplementary Security Income, SSI, hasn't received much attention, but it could have a big impact. A proposal in the emerging Democratic spending bill that almost nobody is talking about could lift millions of Americans' neediest people out of poverty, according to a new report. The proposal would bolster SSI, which provides direct financial support to people who have disabilities or are elderly, or who have minimal assets and income. President Joe Biden has endorsed the proposal and said he wants it to be part of the human infrastructure bill that Democrats hope to pass in the fall. On Monday, the Urban Institute released a report suggesting that fully funding the initiative could reduce the number of Americans living in poverty by 3.3 million. The cost would be more substantial, more than $500 billion in new government spending over 10 years, according to estimates. But it has several component pieces, each of which could have substantial impact. Rebecca Vallis, a senior fellow at the Century Foundation, said the findings prove that the proposal represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to update SSI. Enacting President Biden's SSI commitments would go a long way towards fulfilling its pledge that seniors and disabled people should never have to live in poverty in America, Vallis said. 50 years later, a promise unfulfilled. SSI is less well known and frequently confused with SSDI, which stands for Social Security Disability Insurance, and provides financial support to people with disabilities who have paid into the system by working. SSI, by contrast, is available to anybody who meets the criteria for age or disability, along with low income and assets. SSI is vital and indispensable to the roughly 7.8 million Americans who currently receive the program's monthly checks, but Congress has done little to update the program since it became law in 1972. Former President Richard Nixon, who signed the law creating SSI, said its enactment meant the nation's aged, blind, and disabled people would no longer have to subsist on below poverty level incomes. But today, monthly benefit checks out at $794, which is below the federal poverty line. In addition, just $2,000 in savings can make an individual ineligible for benefits because the program's asset limit hasn't changed since 1989. The reform under discussion would raise the benefit up to the full poverty level and increase the asset limits, as well as change the formula so that to follow inflation more closely in the future. The legislation would also eliminate a marriage penalty that effectively makes many couples choose between keeping their benefits and getting married, and alter a prohibition on in-kind support that would dramatically reduce benefits when people accept groceries or a room when someone like a friend or family member offers. Taken together, these changes would make some people newly eligible for SSI while providing more money to people who already get the checks, and they would span the generations according to the Urban Institute projections. That projection of 3.3 million fewer people in poverty includes more than 1.1 million elderly Americans and more than 400,000 children. The report also notes that the changes would be highly targeted to a population experiencing serious economic hardship, including children and adults who are blind or have severe disabilities that prevent them from working. A popular idea and a political challenge. Improving SSI is popular, according to polling, and has been a longtime cause for veteran lawmakers, including Senator Sherrod Brown, Representative Raoul, and Representative Jan Schakowsky. It's also received support from some newly elected Democrats, like Jamal Bowen of New York. Outside supporters include advocates for the poor and people with disabilities, as well as labor unions. But while the SSI proposal doesn't face stiff opposition, it is competing for resources alongside a bunch of other popular provisions that Democrats want to pass. And that includes provisions similarly designed to address poverty and help the elderly and people with disabilities. Just how much money is available for all of these changes, and by extension, any changes to SSI, will depend ultimately on the overall size of the spending package. A budget resolution that Democrats passed last month created room for an agenda that leaders said would authorize about $3.5 trillion in spending over 10 years. Last week, Senator Joe Mnuchin said that was too much money and he would not vote for such a bill, citing fears of inflation and expanding government too much. But $3.5 trillion is already way down from what the $6 trillion that Bernie Sanders and his allies had originally said they wanted to spend, because they said it was necessary to meet the population's needs. Fully funding the SSI legislation would probably require about $510 billion in new spending, according to estimates from the Social Security Administration. But some of the individual reforms, such as raising the asset limit, would cost a tiny fraction of that. Raising the asset limits, for example, would likely just cost $8 billion for over 10 years. Advocates are hoping for more, especially given the extent to which the people who count on SSI are among those whose low incomes and age or disability status have made them especially vulnerable during the worst effects of COVID-19. The only thing more shameful than how long SSI and its beneficiaries have already been forgotten, Vallis said, would be to leave them again behind on the heels of the pandemic that's hit these groups harder than pretty much anyone else, while spurring the largest influx of new entrants into the disability community in modern history. Raising the asset limits, for example, would cost likely just $8 billion over 10 years.
All right, so there it is. As you can see, another really, really good article talking about the SSI program and how they want to reform this program through the SSI Restoration Act. One of the key takeaways that I can think of right away at the very start was they want to actually lift 3.3 million people out of poverty with these simple changes to the program. That would be amazing, right? Now, honestly, they should lift everybody out of poverty, but at least starting with 3.3 million people is actually a really good start. As you also noticed right there in the article, the president has endorsed this SSI Restoration Act, and he also wants it to be included into the next stimulus package. That's amazing simply because this next stimulus package is the president's agenda. Therefore, if he also wants it added into the package and the whole package is his agenda, therefore, we could probably anticipate it probably will be included in the package, right? But as we know, as of about a week ago, we do know that there's going to be some changes on this stimulus package simply because they need to lower the price tag so that they can get everybody on board. Well, in order to lower the price tag, they do need to doing some chop on the package. Let's just cross our fingers that this will still make it into the package, even though they will need to remove some things out of the package in order to lower the price tag anywhere between $500 billion and about $1.5 trillion, possibly even $2 trillion. So we will cross our fingers and hope that this is still in there. Now, you also noticed, as this was one of the major key takeaways, that they want to expand benefits by raising them to 100% of the federal poverty line, which once again, according to my calculations, is $1,073 every single month from the current level of $794 each and every month, a raise of $279 every single month for these millions of beneficiaries. That would be absolutely incredible. Seriously, right? Just imagine if your income went up by $279 each and every month if you're receiving SSI. That would be a huge relief for a lot of people. Millions upon millions of people. Good stuff right there. Also, let's talk through a couple other key takeaways. They also want to raise the resource limit, like we talked about a little while ago, from $2,000 as an individual up to $10,000, and as a married couple up to $20,000. They also want to remove the marriage penalty again, so that if you are somebody receiving SSI and you happen to get married, of course, you wouldn't be penalized for that, as in right now, you're pretty much penalized, and that is not a good situation, right? They also went on in this article to say that this program has not been reformed essentially since the inception way back in the early 70s by Richard Nixon. Yeah, so as you can see, this program needs some massive overhaul, as it has been a very long time since it's gotten any kind of dramatic changes to it. So these are some of the key takeaways that I wanted to talk through in this article, but yet again, they're still talking about this. They want to add it into this next stimulus package, and this is a really good thing that would actually change the lives of millions of people. This would be really, really good. So I wanted to bring this to you with the latest information, the latest updates on the SSI Restoration Act, and how they want to change this program to actually improve the lives of the millions of beneficiaries who rely on these benefits every single month, right? So as they said in the article right there, about 7.8 million people receive SSI every single month. This would be big for all of those people. So again, I'll continue watching this very closely as I do, but we've been seeing updates on this on a regular weekly basis going forward, and this is the latest one out there right now. This is really good stuff. I'm excited for this, and I really, really hope, and I'm really crossing my fingers and my toes and my arms and my legs and everything else I can cross to make sure that this is actually included into the next stimulus package. Don't worry, I'll continue watching it very closely for you. As we get more information, I'll come back and I'll bring you those updates. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video so you can make sure to stay tuned with all of the latest updates with this, anything else going on with stimulus checks, and of course, the stimulus package and everything else we talk about right here on the channel. So, thanks again for your support. I really do appreciate it. Share this video or any others here on the channel with your friends, family, and social media, and I promise you I'll continue to be here for you every single day going forward. Thanks again. I'll catch you later in the next video. Stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks again. See you later.